Our next guest has a daring story to tell about fleeing from Mexico to this country with his parents. Antonio Jaimes, welcome to Legal Connections.
Thank you for having me.
So start with, how did you come to the United States?
Well, where do I begin?
And where are you from?
Originally, I am from Mexico, a little small village in Mexico. Always, whenever I get that question, it's like, where specifically, and I always point them to Acapulco, because everyone knows, Acapulco. So I'm from that state, but in a very small village. I was born there, and my parents left 4 of us behind. It came to the United States to, look for a better living. And then sometime thereafter, my father went back for us to bring us back to the United States. I was about 6 years old at the time, and they came to the United States to look for a better living. And once they found a stable place to live and start working, like I said, my dad went back for us and brought us here to Florida.
And how was that experience, and how was the journey?
Well, the experience is something that that I still remember like if it was yesterday, especially when at the time we had to cross illegally into Texas through the Rio Grande. I remember we crossed the first time. The river at the time was shallow, because I remember I was in a shaft, and my older brothers and my dad and the other people who were with us, they were crossing through the river. And the first time when we got to the Texas border side, the Border Patrol apprehended us. Yeah, they apprehended us. They took us in, they processed us, and they walked us right back to the Mexican border that same day. The next day, we tried it again. We tried to cross a second time, and I remember, because I had experienced, the whole border situation, getting caught. I remember crying on the raft, as we were crossing the second time. And when we were halfway, we saw that the border patrol was coming. So as soon as we saw that, we rushed quickly back to the Mexican side again.
My goodness, my goodness. And so fast forward to law school. What made you decide to, what was the path to you becoming a lawyer?
I think it's something that, with that experience, that experience that, as a little boy, coming to the U.S. and not knowing, what it was, not knowing English, obviously, and, growing up, helping our parents. There's 7 of us plus our parents. So growing up, we had to work, we had to help, provide, for the family, work during my high school, in the mornings and sometimes in the summers, we had to work in the fern fields. In the Volusia County area, there's a high prevalence of fern cutting, is what we call it. And it's a very labor-intensive work where you're cutting fern, bending down 7-8 hours a day.
And you were how old?
I was 7, 8. So during that time, I'm like, well, I gotta get an education. I need to figure out how I can better myself. And I remember that one of my brothers got into some legal matters, and I remember going into an attorney's office at the time. This attorney, still a friend of mine, still a mentor of mine. His name is John Stanton. Took me in, and I remember walking into his office. He didn't have no one at the time, and I said, "Hey, what can I do for you? I mean, I'll take your trashes out. I'll do anything, But in my mind, what I wanted to accomplish to get out of that, the fern fields.
So inspiring. And what is your practice area?
Right now, I'm a government attorney. I'm the chief legal officer for the clerk of the court for Volusia County. Laura Roth is the current clerk at the time, and that's where I'm at right now for the past going on 6 years there.
And you graduated from FAMU Law.
I did.
And would you like to be the takeaway for students and anyone who might have a similar path?
You know, it's, you know, I ask myself that question because, my story I want to use and I share it every time that I get a chance to do so to inspire, someone, someone with a similar background or someone who just doesn't have that confidence to chase their dreams. And in my case, law. I wasn't your traditional student where I had a father or I had someone in law that could tell me, hey, you need to have a good GPA. Hey, really need to do this to prepare for the LSAT. I learned the hard way because I took the LSAT more than one time until I was able to, get the score, to get admission into to FAMU. And one thing that my parents have taught my family, is that work hard.
Work hard.
Work hard and persevere, and if you fall down, just get up.
Thank you so much, Antonio, for joining us and sharing such an incredible story of strength and perseverance. Thank you.
Thank you for having me. I just want to, again, thank FAMU for giving me the opportunity, because they took a chance on me. And also want to thank, my family, my beautiful wife, that they've, my employers, my current employer as well, and just everyone who supported me along the way. And, I forever will be grateful for that.
Powerful. Incredible. A small boy from a small village in Mexico fled to this country with his family, attended FAMU Law, and is now successful in the legal field. What a powerful story. We thank Antonio Jaimes for sharing his life story with us on Legal Connections. We'll be back. Stay tuned.